Good afternoon, everybody. I can see people arriving into this session. Welcome, or welcome back if you've been with us previously. Hopefully you have. I'll give it a couple more seconds before we get going. Just whilst people get comfortable, another reminder to put all your questions and comments into the chat box. Please ensure that you set it to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see and be part of the conversation. Numbers are going up nicely. Thank you. Hello, everybody, or hello. Welcome. Okay, let's go. This next session is for the next sort of 30 minutes or so, and it's actually our second highlight of a BTEC Higher National Diploma Partner Center that we work with in the region. I am delighted to introduce you to Jan Dacevic, who is the Managing Director of Academia in Maribor in Slovenia. Academia is a college of short cycle higher education in Slovenia. In addition to leading Academia, Jan here also serves as a board member of the Association of Slovene Higher Vocational Colleges, Association HVC. Academia is family-owned, and one of the most renowned colleges in Slovenia, with over 25 years of experience in delivering education. Academia offers Slovenian short cycle higher education programs, as well as Pearson BTEC Higher National Diplomas in art and design, in business, computing, and engineering. Jan holds a bachelor's degree in economics and international business from the University of Auckland in New Zealand, and is currently pursuing an executive MBA at Said Business School of the University of Oxford in the UK. So with that, welcome to Jan, and over to you.
Hi, thank you, Joe, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. Glad to see some familiar faces on the attendance list. I would be very happy for the rest of you to also send comments through the chat or questions. Let's make this session quite interactive. I know it's already 4:40 in the afternoon, but I'll be very happy to actually have this quite interactive session. Glad to see so many people coming in today from so many different countries. But since we are quite limited on time, I suggest that we get going. So we'll split this session into parts. I'll briefly introduce our institution, what we do and how we do it, and what are the results of our work. And then I'll be very happy to take questions from you and explore possible ideas or concerns coming in. So we as Joe has said, we are a family-owned college since 1994. At the time, we actually were mainly doing corporate trainings and sending people abroad for vocational and language education. And then in 2001, we finally got an accreditation as a proper college. We're based in Slovenia, which is located in the central Europe, neighboring Austria, Italy, Hungary, and Croatia. A small country of only 2 million people, but the only country with a law in its name. So as said, we are an accredited institution by the Ministry of Education, Science and Sport of the Republic of Slovenia. And on top of that, we are also a Pearson accredited center in Slovenia. We were the first institution actually to introduce ISO standards in education way before there was so-called European standard guidelines, or before Slovenian Quality Assurance Agency existed. And then based on our experience, they use the frameworks to actually also standardize the quality assurance for education in Slovenia. We're also a holder of certificate of so-called Let's Offer Adult Learners Quality Education from Institute of Adult Education in Slovenia. And most recently, we are also a holder of certificate for enabling dual careers for sportsmen by the Olympic Committee of Slovenia. So yeah, we deliver the programs in the four different areas. Our School of Business offers programs in accounting and finance, commerce, and tourism. Our School of Computing offers, which is the newest school, offers software engineering and network engineering programs. Our School of Engineering offers construction, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, security engineering programs, and our Media Production School offers 6 different streams today: audio production or sound production, video production, graphic design, photography, 3D animation, and web production. As discussed, all our programs are based on the level 5 equivalence of European qualification framework, and students get so-called dual diplomas. They receive a Slovenian short cycle higher education diploma, as well as the Pearson BTech Higher National Diploma. So the biggest differentiation factor for our programs is that our curriculum is built by the industry. So we don't have the autonomy to build a curriculum ourselves, but we leave it out to the industry, which is represented by leading companies or councils or associations, to give us that feedback, on what are the core skills that are required by the industry. And then in partnership with university, we come up with a meaningful curriculum. So all the curriculum that we deliver at academia is already also correlated with so-called industry certifications. So in most of our programs, students not only will receive formal education, but they will also receive industry certification. For example, in computing, we work with Oracle and Cisco for students to receive industry certification without the extra need to study or to obtain any other different courses to receive those skills. Our delivery model it's quite simple. To put it in 3 words or to 3 areas, we use lectures, tutorials, and laboratory work, and work-based learning. What differs between a typical academic institution to our colleges, that almost 40% and 40% and above of guided learning hours are conducted through so-called work-based learning environments at our partner companies. And the rest of the 60% of the delivery happens at the school and the partner laboratory institutes. So our lectures, which are represented as a 20% of guided learning hours, are in class or live online in these COVID times, interactive video sessions with 20 to maximum of 50 students, delivered not by academic professor, but by, in our case, 100+ industry sourced faculty. So industry sourced faculty are professionals that working in the industry that are active, holding at least a Master of Science degree with, on one hand, industry competences, and on the other hand, also pedagogical competences. And this is something quite unique for Slovenia to have in the system, because these appointments of lecturers are also approved by the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education in Slovenia allows industry professionals to come to academic institutions and get appointed as lecturers. These appointments are valid for 5 years, and every 5 years, our lecturers have to renew their appointments, proving that they're still active on one hand in the industry, and on the other hand, that they have further developed their pedagogical competencies. With each course, our students would also have additional guest lectures coming from the industry that might be a bit more people that are a bit more busier. And also at each course, a student would have a study visit. So approximately 15 to 20 study visits and guest lectures would happen at each qualification during the study time. Tutorials and laboratory work, on the other hand, are split into smaller groups depending on the program or the qualification. They would be held in class inside the school or at our partner laboratories. So, for example, we would have a audio studio production lab where only a pair of students, which consists only of 2 students, would work in an audio studio production lab recording and mixing the learning how to record and mix the music bands. And on the other hand, we would have a computing lab at the school where up to 20 students would attend the tutorials and laboratory work. And all these sessions composed of approximately 40% of total guided learning hours. All the tutorials and laboratory work, again, are delivered by lecturers or tutors that need to hold at least a master degree in our case. And we work with multiple specialized industry laboratories to deliver specialized units of each specification. For example, we work with Slovenian tools and development center to deliver some sort of tool making courses. We would work with a professional TV station to deliver video production part of video production course that is related to the live TV stream. And then there is this last part of 40% of guided learning hours, which is called work-based learning. And this work-based learning is done at our partner companies. We currently have 150 plus companies in our portfolio, where students would attend this part of learning in so-called individual placements. These individual placements would be split into 3 parts. So in the first part, we would be working with a professional recruitment firm in a so-called career training program. So every student would need to prepare their career goals. They would have to build their own portfolios, CVs, digital presence. They would even go and sit in the assessment centers, like they would go for a job, right? So we would really give them this exposure to see and not spoon feed them too much in terms of giving them the individual placements in the company. Once this is completed, students would have to spend at least 800 hours in so-called in-company internships, where they would be having a mentor, and this mentor would guide them through their work at the company. On top of the 800 hours, professors and faculty at the school would give students project assignments. So approximately 20 to 25 project assignments would be given to each student while they are in the work-based learning environments. And this is with the reason to really have a structured work-based learning sessions, right? Meaning that once students complete the program and also the work-based learning components, not only they come back with the grade, but they also come back with a portfolio of their work, of their assignments, right? Which they can show to the future employer or to the future customers or business partners. This is how also our assessment happens. So Pearson especially and BTECs allow us to provide assessment environments that are real life assessments. What does this mean? We have a combination of assessments that are boosting the soft skills from exams on one hand, so that students who are wishing to progress to academic universities after they complete studies with us would not be too shocked of the academic environment. So we still do quite a bit of examination, but on the other hand, we really focus on student projects that get assessed through either work-based learning or through tutorials, project assignments, public presentations, public gatherings, and of course, on the end, a proper research project that has to be conducted by every student. And on the right side hand, you might see the show presented by one of our students majoring in photography, where they would have to organize and deliver the proper photography show as part of their studies. We also collaborate with University of Oxford, the Scholl Center for Social Entrepreneurship, for boosting the soft skills of students. We include them into so-called Map the System project, where they learn about the systemic thinking, and they collaborate then with students coming from University of Oxford to on their soft skills. So from the presentation skills, on the foreign language skills, They're mostly studying in the local Slovenian language, so this gives them the opportunity to study in English as well, as well as public speaking. But what is really important in our institution is to build a community, right? We all are humans, and this is something that we've been lacking for the past calendar year, and we've been trying to move this community online by organizing virtual team building sessions and so forth. So we would organize every year in the beginning of study years, we'll organize a weekend or a long weekend long so-called team building weekends where students and faculty would mix and perform team building sessions. We organize international evenings at the school with our Erasmus students that are present in the school to include them into prospects of going abroad for academic semester or a year. We would also organize some sports picnics, graduation ceremonies. So really with the purpose of networking, not only among students, but also with the faculty as they come from the industry to build this ecosystem of industry professionals after the graduation. So what are our results? What are our outcomes? Why do we do that? So the first factor, most important factor is that our pluralism of faculty really allows us to have a great student to faculty ratio, right? So we have 4:1 student to faculty ratio. So on currently enrolled, I think 450 students, we have 100+ faculty members. Our students would on average enter the job market 3 times faster compared to the bachelor peers. This is the analysis done by the National Statistics and Labor's Office. What we've seen in the recent years is that in most of the regions in Slovenia, our graduates would have an equal or even a higher salary on average compared to the bachelor peers. So in 2 years they would be earning pretty much the same or even higher salaries compared to someone studying in 3 or 4 year long programs. And furthermore, one out of 5 graduates in our college are entrepreneurs. These are not proper startup entrepreneurs that they will be building the next unicorn, but they're so-called lifetime entrepreneurs, employing on average 5 to 10 people with a stable organic growth happening. We truly like to collaborate with our partners. I'm glad to see also our partners from Belgrade Metropolitan University here today at the chat coming in. So we work on various development projects, but we also offer progression and exchanges to 100+ partners around the globe. Most of our students tend to continue their studies in the UK, or they tend to continue their studies in the Netherlands. But nevertheless, we work with 2 countries coming from the European Union plus the BRICS countries of Brazil, Russia, India, and China. On top of that, as said, we work quite a bit on so-called development projects in mobilities. We are a holder of Erasmus Charter. We are currently active on 10 strategic partnerships and capacity building projects. We also offer customized short cycle programs for our partners. So if a university, like in a previous session where Dr. Kari was sending students to Asia, we will welcome students to academia in Slovenia. And of course, we would offer student and staff mobilities for the purpose of traineeship and teaching or learning. Yes, most recently we were awarded with a School of the Year title by BTEC, which is among almost 800 colleges around the world, which we are quite proud of. For almost every year since our inception, we've been receiving awards in different areas. We are the first institution in Slovenia to receive an excellence award by the Association of Higher Vocational Colleges, which means that we've been outperforming colleges on the national and international level for the consecutive 5 years. Our students and faculties have won multiple awards in the areas of art and design. One of them, for example, is a sports films festival in Spain. We've also been doing quite a bit of work with technology companies, and we've been awarded by Microsoft for excellence in incorporating their technologies in our curriculum. So this is very briefly on what we've achieved so far. But nevertheless, we are not sitting on those trophies. We are very much looking forward to the future. So we've been working on delivering and developing new qualifications and planning also to expand our operations with multiple campus system. So if anyone is very interested in collaboration in that area as well, we would be very happy to take your inquiries. I left out my contact details for you if someone would like to reach out to me, but I would really now use this time to answer your questions you might have on how we run the college and provide you with some feedback. Yeah, I think, Joe, if you want to ask me some questions, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was on mute. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was fascinating to see how your college has developed. It's particularly looking at all the partnerships that you have fostered over the years. And actually that nicely links to the question that's come in, asking about that earlier on you mentioned in great detail the idea of work-based learning and how academia partners with these companies. For colleges or universities trying to do this for the first time, what approach do you recommend in creating partnerships with industry and or employers?
Yeah. I mean, work-based learning is also a hot topic in Slovenia, not only among typical academic universities, but also among colleges. And the first question is to answer yourself is who's responsible for the student outcomes of work-based learning, right? On one hand, we want income and input by the industry to teach the students what are the jobs that he should acquire. But on the other hand, it's also a responsibility of a college to assess this and provide feedback back to both learner and the work-based environment for in terms of grading, but also in terms of recognizing the work. So this is very important that our learning is that not all companies are the same. You have companies that are way more developed than others, like colleges, like students. And there should be a framework structured to ensure that the work-based learning environments are of good quality, that there is a quality assurance behind it, that there is a possibility for students to really learn the skills that the industry needs today and also would need in the future. And I think this is the biggest obstacle to come over. And once this is done, I think then it's quite easy to create this kind of environments for students.
Thank you. Yes, another question's just come in. Someone who was clearly listening to you earlier during the panel discussion when I think we were talking about short cycle programs like the ones you offer, like HNDs, for example, how they mean different things in different places. What is your view, this person is asking, about how in the European Union, certainly, short cycle programs should be considered by all countries?
Yeah, so I don't know if you attended the panel before, dear participants, but Michal made a good point on what are the European policies on that, and there was a clear communique done by the ministerial conference of the European higher education area, a commitment given by all the countries, all 49 countries that are part of EHEA, to implement short cycle higher education programs, because on one hand you have a high dropout rates, especially in some developing or less developed countries than Western Europe, and students aren't awarded any qualification, despite that they might finish, let's say, 3 out of 4 years of education, right? and they would enter the labor market and not be rewarded anything. And this was especially the case, for example, in the Western Balkans, where we are currently, or have completed one project in the past in around short cycle higher education, which are now enabled in Serbia, for example, and are now being developed in Bosnia and Montenegro as well.
Wonderful. Okay, switching gears slightly, this question comes from Michael, who's asking, can you, similar to a question I asked Carrie earlier, can you tell us a bit about where your students go on to next?
Yes.
What is the typical kind of career, let's say if they've done art and design or tourism, what do they go on to do next?
That's an excellent question, and I think also it comes back to the previous question: what's the purpose of short cycle higher education, right? So we've seen cases that in some countries, maybe a bit more developed countries, short cycle higher education might be actually used as an alternative route to get a bachelor or master degree. So if you're not accepted at University A, you might go through a further college and then top it up with a degree. But I think the real purpose of the short cycle higher education is to enter the job market, right? So we would see 80% of students or 90% of students immediately entering the job market in the relevant fields. So we would see lower or middle management positions within each respective industry that we educate for, where our students would usually sit in. And on top of that, what we also see is that we bring adult learners to our educational institution, right? So we would see someone who completed level 3 education, so high school education, vocational education training, let's say in mechanical engineering, would have worked for the company for 5 years, and now they would like to upskill, or an employer would like them to upskill, right? So there is an interesting fact that 3/4 of employers would rather progress their own employees through up the management positions, compared to hiring someone fresh directly from academic institution, you know, and it's and this gives them the opportunity, you know, to do so, right?
Yeah, certainly. And that does actually lead us on to, I think, our final question for today. I'm sorry we haven't gotten the chance to actually answer all of them or ask all of them even. But this one sort of sums it up and also relates it back to what we were talking about at the top of the afternoon. Talking about short cycle, you know, higher education programs, how do we change perceptions of non-traditional routes to HE? So maybe taking a short cycle for 2 years and then topping up with a different degree partner, which were clearly illustrated tonight, this afternoon. The perceptions of this are not straightforward, and that can be quite difficult depending on where you are. How do we change that for, say, learners, certainly, prospective learners, but also maybe their parents who all often need to be paying for their education? How do we change their perceptions? How do we communicate and inform them?
Yeah, you know, in Slovenia, we have a proverb called, if you will not study, you will have to work, you know, and it's unfortunately, I think it's stuck with us globally, you know. And I don't think this is a question that much about higher education. It starts earlier, you know, when you have to enter level 3 or even lower qualifications, right? Straight out of primary or secondary education. So when you enter high school, you know, for example, in Central Eastern Europe, you have a decision whether you go towards a general education equivalent to A levels, you know, or IB diploma program, or whether you would go for something a bit more vet, right? And this is already where these questions are asked, right? So you're not perceived by society, you're not sexy enough if you're not going for the general education, right? So this goes on and on with general education on the higher education level. And what happens in Slovenia, we, for example, now are the country with most PhDs in country per capita, you know? And I don't think that we have such a productive economy that we would require that many PhDs, you know? And of course, you know, I think that the next question that we will have to address, not only on the college level, but also on the national and European level, is how to make vocational education and training attractive again. You know, how to make professional higher education attractive again. And I think, you know, parents, I think, and this has to be a generational change. You know, my parents were the first one to go to university. You know, I was again the generation that went to university, but if I look at now younger generations that went through that route, or my colleagues that went through that route, you know, not everyone was really able to get a job. You know, look at Greece, what happened with the latest global financial crisis, and then dropout rates of students. So their kids now are not willing to go anymore to the academic routes. They want to go where the job security is, right? And the job security will come through transparency of the educational system. So whether the curricula is really aligned with the industry needs, whether the so-called also financial part of education is related to industry needs. So you see right now, let's say not only in the US, but also in the European level from the European Investment Fund, for example, an initiative where they would create so-called income shared agreement programs. So you would only pay for education if you get a job, right? So these kind of guarantee schemes, I think, in the future will bring this transparency to education, and they will change how we perceive what we learn and how we learn.
Indeed, and thank you. That perfectly sums up our theme this afternoon of career-focused education. I just want to echo Anna's thanks to you for your inspiring presentation. Thank you so much, Jan, for your input. And thank you for everybody for attending.